4 Nigerians are confirmed dead this morning, July 15, 2026. The final evacuation flight landed in Lagos, closing out 5 weeks that saw over 1,400 Nigerians flee South Africa. 43 years ago, Nigeria did almost exactly this to Ghana. 14 years before that, Ghana did it to Nigeria first. This is not an accusation aimed at any country. This is 3 timelines side by side, and I want you to watch it to the end before you decide what you feel, and I can put that who to blame. Watch this video and sit with it and think about it. Since April 2026, South Africa had been swept by organized anti-immigrant violence. Vigilante groups, most prominently one called itself March and March, staged demonstration across Johannesburg, Pretoria, Durban and other major cities, chanting Mahab Mahab, a Zulu phrase meaning they must go. The group set an unofficial deadline of June 30, 2026, demanding all undocumented foreigners leave their country, and we know it is not about documents. Despite having no legal authority to enforce anything, they still demanded it and they took action. Ramaphosa publicly condemned the violence, that's their president, saying South Africa has no place for xenophobia, but independent observers point to a contradiction in his own government's response. Even while condemning vigilante actions, his administration pursued militarized border enforcement and fast-tracked deportation court measures. Critics says echo the vigilantes' own demands. Rather than firmly opposing them, a special investigating unit report from February 2026 described the country's own Ministry of Home Affairs as having become a marketplace where permits and visas were sold to the highest bidder. You know what that means? The state's own corruption helped create the irregular migration it was mandated to prevent. So they were working hand in hand with this vigilante group. By mid-July 2026, at least 10 foreign nationals were confirmed killed, including Mozambican, Ethiopians, and Malawian citizens. 3 Ethiopians were shot dead inside a Johannesburg McDonald's. More than 13,000 foreign nationals were deported or repatriated in a single 2-week stretch in June alone. In April 2026, the mayor of Expelled confiscated the shop and keys of Ghanaian shopkeepers and handed the businesses directly to local residents. In July 2026, a 1-year-old Malawian boy died after being denied treatment at 2 clinics in Alexandria because his family lacked South African identity documents. South Africa's own government stated the June 30 deadline carries no legal weight. That distinction matters for what you are about to hear. The 2025 violence hasn't come from an official state policy. It comes from vigilante group. At least that's what they claim. The state says it opposes it, even as critics argue its own action haven't fully matched that opposition. Meaning they were lackadaisical about the whole thing and watching the vigilante take over. Nigerians were directly caught in it. On June 28, 2026, 2 Nigerian nationals died within the same day. Musa Imanajo, killed in front of his own shop in Malaheni, and Charles Iruegba, who died in Pretoria in the custody of Siwan Metro Police in police station for questioning. By July 14, the confirmed Nigerian death tolls had risen to 4, and some repatriated Nigerians told reporters they believed the real number was higher. And most people actually believe the numbers were higher. Nigeria's government pushed back hard on multiple separate occasions. On May 7, in a direct call with her South African counterpart, Foreign Minister Bianca Odumegwu Ojukwu said plainly, "We will not stand by and watch the systematic harassment and humiliation of our nationals residents in South Africa." Weeks later, On July 6, she added, there are no signs that the situation is improving. Separately, Nigeria's Ministry of Foreign Affairs formally accused South African authorities of a pattern suggesting possible complicity by some security operatives. President Bola Tinubu ultimately approved 5 separate evacuation flights. The final one landed in Lagos this morning, bringing the total number of Nigerians repatriated since June 11 to over 1,400 Nigerians. Nigeria has since stated it intends to formally seek compensation from South Africa for citizens who lost businesses, homes, and properties in the unrest. Edo State Government Monday Okpebolo personally received a group of returnees, including 41 Edo indigenes, pledging 41 million in support. He told them directly, they may have taken everything away from you, but your life is more important than the things they took. Now, the part of this story most people watching today were never taught or probably never heard, or they are not old enough. And it doesn't start from where you think. In 1969, Ghana's own government under Prime Minister Kofi Abarafa Busia implemented what was officially called the Aliens Compliance Order. It gave every foreigner without a resident permit 2 weeks to leave the country. An estimated 200,000 people were expelled. The majority of them Nigerians. At the time, it was remembered by some as Nigeria must go. A full 14 years before the phrase most people know today. A full 14 years. 14 years later, in January 1983, Nigeria's own government ordered roughly 2 million undocumented immigrants, more than 1 million of them Ghanaians, to leave within 2 weeks. It was official Nigerian government policy ordered directly by President Shehu Shagari's own Minister of Internal Affairs, following an attack on Nigeria's own Vice President by robbers who included 2 Ghanaian nationals. Enforcement was carried out by Nigeria's own police. Multiple contemporary accounts, including Harvard Students newspaper reporting live at the time, documented officers gassing and beating ex-police. Between 60 and 100 deaths were directly attributed to the expulsion. Another wave followed in 1985. Now, some of us experienced that personally, expelling roughly 300,000 more Ghanaians. Neither Ghana's 1969 expulsion nor Nigeria's 1983 expulsion solved the economic problem each government claimed to be fixing. You ask me, we are worst off right now. Both were state-directed policies carried out by each country's own police. What is happening in South Africa in 2026? Legislative-driven violence, a government publicly opposes, even if imperfectly. The mechanism differs across all three. The human cost each time does not. The global reaction to Nigeria's 1983 expulsion was severe. Pope John Paul II called it the largest single and worst human exodus in the 20th century. Nigeria's own first president, Nnamdi Azikiwe, publicly condemned it as a mortal blow to African unity. South Africa's own apartheid-era prime minister at the time, P.W. Botha, compared Shagari's government to Hitler's over it. This year, the same history has resurfaced across continents independently in multiple countries' own press, not constructed by any single commentator. So it's not anybody's, like what I'm telling you is not my opinion. South African and Pan-African publications have all drawn the same 1983 comparison since May 2026. One South African writer crossing into Ghana this year and handing over her own passport described the immigration officers pausing, locking up, and asking her directly, why are you doing this to us after everything we did for your freedom? The facts are on the table. The conclusion is yours. I'm not asking you to agree with me, but I'm telling you this thing has been going on for decades. Tell me in the comments, does knowing Ghana did this to Nigerian first in 1969 change how you see any of what came after? Or does it not matter who started it? Only that it keeps happening. Tag somebody who needs to see all three timelines side by side. Follow this channel on YouTube so you don't miss what comes first. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel.